I mean, Riley Cooper, I mean, like, that dude deserves a statue. I mean, like,
number one on your speed dial.
Hey, I'll tell you what, like, I mean, I didn't know until a couple days after the fact. I was like, wait a minute, is he the MVP or like we got the all-tournament team?
No doubt about it.
And then Ty Floyd, when I sure got 17, and like stole it from him. But I was like, when has a pitcher like been a part of like 5 of the 6 wins in Omaha? I mean, what a performance!
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time.
Pleasure.
Yes, sir.
Sharp a little late, boys, at the spring game, obviously, as you can see. Couple of booze cruises here to do. Let's do it. Cruise. Grand salami to the boys. Finally back on track. And I got another one coming. Don't you think I don't? And that's how we roll in Tiger Stadium.
Just watching the spring games that were on television, one thing that jumped out about your squad is your quarterback room is very talented compared to a lot of the league and a lot of the country. I wonder, is it easier to recruit that position when you have talent or when you don't have talent? Coach Kelly, we're official.
Finally,
I'm
get a
telling
chance to meet you. Thought I had to get a private audience with the Pope. It's Jordy.
Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification, we about to go live. We got all your favorite guests, we got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Tearing up, answering the question, and I thought, my God, if she gets offered this job, she's going to take it.
It's just a crazy, fun time at LSU right now. Isn't this what everybody loves?
From the boot to the east to the west coast, no matter where we at, we live. Open up the phone lines, come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show, yeah.
Let's go! Let's go!
All right. Nice start.
Big day.
Nice start.
It's the Jordy Culotta Show, come have a good time.
Coach, it's great to meet you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you for the time.
Been to a Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show live here on our Click Here digital campus as always. Coming to you from 20,000 square feet of office space, over 120 employees, getting you ready for digital marketing plans and taking care of it. And we're also brought to you daily by our friends over at RMB Builders. RMB-Builders.com is where you can find them online And RMB Builders is where you can find them on Instagram. Make sure and give us a like, share, comment if you don't mind to get going here. We want to hit 100 an hour if we can.
100 an hour?
Absolutely. Why not? Get us out of here with 200. We're already at 25, bro. I mean, what is
There we go. Let's pump these likes up.
a.m.
Those are rookie numbers.
Let's get to 100 per hour here on the likes. We appreciate all the interaction. We're talking New Orleans Saints coming up this morning. We're going to do that with the best in the game, obviously from New Orleans.Football. We will talk to Brooke Kirchhoffer coming up here at 7:45 this morning. We'll talk to her about the Saints moving to 1-0 on the season. Some of the things that we've seen last night in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers blows out his Achilles on his 4th snap as a New York Jet.
Turned into his 5th snap.
Terrible day.
Incredible.
I mean, what a move for Zach Wilson, though.
Zach Wilson comes in off the bench. Maybe trade bait for Jameis. We'll talk to Brooke about it coming up here.
You take Zach Wilson over Jameis right now?
I would take Jameis over
but I think
Zach.
you need security.
Yeah,
in the NFL.
but Zach Wilson, I think he still has a little bit of work to do. You kind of saw it a couple times where he just threw it in the middle of coverage. Like, it's just...
He threw an interception that could have been picked off by all 11 on the defense
It could have been picked off by us 3.
Yeah,
absolutely.
threw it right to me.
I mean, he was panicked.
He was like, oh, my God. Wait, have y'all seen the oh, my God clip from Geno Smith?
Yeah, it's the best.
With Aaron Donald?
Have you seen
Wait,
this?
say it again?
Aaron Donald's running at Geno Smith Sunday.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Unblocked.
Oh, my God.
He's like, oh, my God. Just throws him into the ground. I mean, I do the same thing. So.
No doubt about it. I mean, like, that's human.
I'm actually scared.
He had a human moment
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
football uniform.
And always on Tuesdays, 8:15, we're going to talk to Wilson Alexander. So a couple of award winners here on Tuesdays. And these are our Tuesday regulars. We've actually locked Brooke in every Tuesday at 7:45. Looking forward to getting some Saints information from her. She's the top broadcaster in the state of Louisiana. And then, of course, Wilson Alexander was named the Rising Star in Media, the Edward Ashoff Award by ESPN, which goes to, kind of the rising star in sports media. So we will talk to both of them, Wilson Alexander, 8:15 this morning, and we will talk to Brooke Kirchhoffer coming up here at 7:45 this morning from New Orleans.Football and get some information on the Saints. Brian Kelly was speaking to the media yesterday. Also, don't forget about our friends over at Southern Regional Medical Center bringing you our phone line. So both of our guests on the phone line this morning. Brought to you by our friends over at Southern Regional Medical Center. Real doctors, real solutions. Charlie Harvey, Jason Ramazan, BJ and the crew over at Southern Regional Medical Center bringing you our phone line each and every day. And as we said, we'll talk to Brooke and talk to Wilson at 7:45 and at 8:15 respectively this morning. Brian Kelly speaking to the media yesterday. I want to start with the most interesting bite, at least the one that hit home for the Jordy Culotta show. And hopefully everybody out there that was paying attention. This was fantastic news. Stewie, we queued up over here with BK. We ready to roll here? Here's what I thought was most interesting bite to come out of yesterday's presser.
Well, we wanted to free him up a little bit. You know, he's got a lot of responsibilities playing inside, and we just needed to let him go and let him play fast. We felt like, you know, with all the things that we had asked him to do, we probably slowed him down a little bit. And one of the things that we have to do as coaches is know where your players are relative to, playing fast. And I think we saw in the very first play with the physicality he showed when the ball got out on the perimeter. That's not something that you want to do, is throw the ball out on the perimeter with Harold. So I think we made the right decision there, and now we'll refine what we do with him. Like, we can move him around, we can move him inside and outside and do some things that can keep him in a position to impact the game, and that's what we're trying to do.
I mean, are you kidding? When you heard that bite yesterday,
I kind of laughed. It was like
it felt like a Saturday Night Live skit.
Yeah.
I mean, really, it was like
he's in and out of the mic, back and forth.
We want to make him play fast. Well, what's the other option? Like what what's the choices? To give him more to think about and slow him down and hurt the defense?
I give him credit for adjusting.
I mean, I do too. But, I mean, it's hard to game plan one of the best players in college football out of the game and do it by your own team. I mean, like...
Get this man on my game.
It just... when I heard that soundbite, how can you not, after the first series of the Florida State game, say, all right, blow this thing in the middle up, put him back outside?
That's what they did.
I mean,
you can emphasize it more, but it goes back to Florida State being the worst test case scenario for that assignment, where they had so much going on, where it looked like Harold Perkins was in the middle of war for the first time, where bullets are flying left and right, and he's going, he's getting bodied by offensive linemen because he doesn't know when to rush and when to spy. It just took him out of his game plan. And if that happens against Grambling, it doesn't look that way. It was just that. That's the oversight by the coaching staff, is implementing that game plan against a top 10 team in the country. Whenever you should, hey, we can start this next week. Harold, I know we worked all year on you being in the middle. Let's go back to what feels comfortable. At least you can do like an in-staff adjustment or like an in-game adjustment. But, yeah, he had to address it, and that's about the best way you can do it.
He also talked about the secondary yesterday. Here was Brian Kelly talking about his defensive backs.
Well, I think this is a process for us that we're making some strides. I think we're competing, for the ball. I think in some instances it's really you have to look at play after play where we're getting some competitive breakups that we hadn't had in the past, and we're getting guys that are getting seasoned, and that's really what this is about. This is a process for some guys that haven't played a lot of college football. So we like the competitiveness. This is about leveraging the football. This is about being in the right technique, and it's like I said, we like our guys. But this is going to be coaching and player development the entire season.
Defensive backs, obviously a area of concern for LSU through the first two games. Denver Harris got his first run on Saturday versus Grambling. Here was the thoughts of the head coach on Harris, the transfer from A&M.
Yeah. I liked his demeanor. He didn't lose his cool in some instances where, he got his helmet pulled off a couple of times. He was being held. I think he's growing, and as the question was posed earlier, these young men are in a process of growing and learning, and he's learning our coverages. He's learning, he's a press corner. And we don't just play press. We play press, and we play bail, and we play off, and then we play press to off. And so there's a lot of different things that he's learning. He was just strictly a press corner. And he just pressed you, and when you came off the bus, he pressed you. And this is new to him, but he's learning, and he wants to get better at it every day. So, listen, I'm a coach. I want a captive audience. I want guys that want to be coached. And the great part about it is he wants to be coached.
Denver Harris making strides for LSU in the defensive backfield. Obviously, it's been a process of teaching him more about the game. And there's a question coming inside the chat asking, why doesn't the media ask Brian Kelly about man-to-man coverage or the lack thereof? Well, he just answered it. He just answered it. They require their defensive backs to learn more than playing press coverage, and for what LSU ran for a long time was that they would play one-on-one on the outside. And I think that the reason that they don't run it, I know the reason why they don't run it today is because they don't have the personnel to do it. They don't have the guys to put out on an island and trust that they can guard one-on-one. I believe they could get there with Harris, but he's also got to show that he can master what other, principles and responsibilities of the scheme exist. He's going to have to learn how to play certain coverages that he's never played in his life, right? I mean, lining up in high school and playing high school, I mean, he was better than the guy over the top of him. I mean, he would just take him out of the game. And through the first 6 games of his freshman season at A&M, they did very similar stuff with him. They would just put him out there and say guard. In this defense specifically, you have to do more than that. And you know, Harris has gone through the process of trying to learn it. Like Brian Kelly said there, I mean, he wants to be coached. And at this point, I think that's all they can ask for, because the LSU coaches know that they have to play him. You know, I mean, they have to play. They have to play Harris. Another guy that I believe that they're going to have to play is going to be Zalance Hurd. Here is Brian Kelly speaking about the true freshman tackle who made his debut over the weekend.
2 going forward. Yeah, we have 2 probables. We have probable is Mason Taylor, and probable is Omar Spates. We liked his presence in the lineup. He was assignment correct. He was physical at the point of contact, and we felt like, by and large, for a first time in a collegiate, football game, he handled the emotions of the game very well. So I think we're on track to kind of similarly do what we did in the last game with him in the next game as well. Miles will still start at guard, but there's going to be a rotation there.
It won't take long for him to get to Hurd on Saturday, in my opinion.
Coach, my thing is with Miles Frazier, I've watched him get beat by Florida State, watched him get beat by Grambling like a drum. Excuse me. I'm just I'm kind of tired of the experience. The experience has not been fun. It's been a short experience, and it has not been fun. So I think Zalance Hurd needs to slide on in there.
I think it's only a matter of time.
PK's reliance on experience is
the
time is running.
It's kind of mind-boggling.
It really is.
The time is running out.
Well, I mean, it goes to the theory of playing the best player.
Yeah,
and it's mind-blowing how difficult it seems for, at least early on, them to get to the best player or putting the player in the best position to play, right? The Harold Perkins scenario has become a joke all over the country. I mean, it's become a talking point all over the league on what is going on with Harold Perkins. And it doesn't take a football IQ of a lot of experience to look at film from last season and then turn on 2 games this year or a game this year and say, how? Why? What are you doing? And then it take them 4 quarters to get to a point where you make a transition. I mean, I know that they tried to put him in situations at Florida State, but the game plan obviously was to put him in coverage and to put him in the middle, with the stat that came out that he was in coverage 28 times compared to 7 pass rushes. That's insubordinate. I mean, really. I mean, if you're a football coach and you coach Harold Perkins, asking him to do that that's out of line. I mean, what are you doing? And for it to be taking so long to recognize is another example of just play Chris Hilton, play Lance Hurd, put Harold Perkins on the outside, play Logan Diggs. I mean,
play Denver Harris.
It's
and let him play press.
Play Denver Harris. Put him in a situation where he can play his best. It helps you win. Some of the things, it's like, man.
It's almost like paralysis by analysis, where Brian Kelly obviously comes from a situation where he didn't have talent like he has at LSU, and it's taking him a second to almost change his way of thinking around, bro, you got athletes now. It's not the Notre Dame mindset of, I need to see on my jersey, these are the guys that
he's been here for 4
years. Like he deserves it. Nobody gives a shit about that. It's play your best, play your players. Like Denver Harris, this experience should have taken, it took 1 game? What did he see in
a week of practice against for Grambling that made him play? Nothing.
He saw
that he got beat.
Well, he saw against Florida State that
I need Denver Harris out there.
You better put him out there.
Yes, and I understand the philosophy with Harold Perkins. I really do. I understand the thinking. But if it looked like that at practice, whenever you have him, if it's good on good and he's going against Jaden Daniels, and it looks like that in the middle, then you should probably have some questions about your offense maybe, because he's not that different than what you saw at Florida State, where if he looks lost in the middle against Florida State or against LSU in practice, he's going to look lost against Florida State, because those teams were going into the game feel like a mirror of each other. I get what he was doing, though. What that tells me is there's a lack of depth and there's a concern at the linebacker position, because they were trying to plug that hole with Harold Perkins and hope it worked.
Well, I think there's even more of a concern today when you wake up at linebacker than there was
because you
going
just took
into the
one
season.
out.
And he mentioned yesterday that Omar Spates is dealing with now an injury, but I think through the first 2 games of the season, they've figured out pretty quickly that Spates he's either hurt.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
he's got to be,
because he's like
slow.
I watched I rewatched every game, and I just see he moves slow, he is a step late on everything. And then Florida State, he was shooting gaps, he was getting there. It was almost like he was getting to his spot and nobody else was getting to there, so it made him look bad. And a lot of people don't see that on film, but as a linebacker, most of the time you are the first person to get there, and you're just waiting on the rest of the
cavalry
to fill their gaps, fill their run responsibilities, and a lot of times the defense did not.
Yeah, because and you can even go back to what you saw for him at Oregon State, where he flies around, and he didn't look like he was – you don't just make one tackle playing linebacker at LSU whenever you started the game against Grambling. That doesn't happen. So I would imagine he is a little bit hurt, and that's kind of a game you need him. Mm-hmm. You'd like to see him show up against a Mississippi State team that has kind of transformed their identity. They still do the same – type of things from the air raid where they run some slip screens and stuff like that, but it's not an air raid offense. They're trying to run the football.
Yeah, here is Brian Kelly, in fact, speaking of, this is 3, Stewie, of Mississippi State's offense.
I guess. Well, his efficiency was high. It was 13 for 17. So, they're going to put him in really good positions to throw the football. He's an accurate thrower of the football. They want to run the football, and that's the change relative to their offensive structure. But they were explosive when they threw it. And the design now is such that they're going to play to their defense and set up the run through play action pass, take shots down the field. And I think it's going to really suit him. He's extremely accurate. He takes care of the football. He's really smart. So in the game that they played, it really allowed them to pick their spots in terms of when they needed to throw the football.
More from Kelly. Here he is speaking about his team getting ready for the early start. Stewie, this is 4 on LSU getting prepared for an 11 a.m. kickoff.
Well, not that we would do anything differently, but we do things in our preparation that matches an early start. For example, in our practice schedule, we'll do some things that accelerate, our team articulation. In other words, we're not going to go individual and work our way into group and then get to team. We'll go to team right away. You got to turn it on immediately. We'll do some things relative to getting our senses awakened earlier on game day. We're going to start with our team meal at around 7:20 in the morning. We're going to have an hour bus ride. So, we'll have to handle all of those things a little bit differently than a normal routine. We have a shakeout during a night game, so this is going to be a totally different schedule than that they've been presented with. So we'll use some of the things we did last year, and I think that sets them up for a little bit more of an understanding of what that day is going to look like.
So the 11 a.m. kickoff is going to be a different style for LSU. It's going to be a different schedule for LSU. It's something that Brian Kelly said they'll have to adjust to, obviously, once they get to Mississippi State to Starkville over the weekend. Our bus ride to the game as well on Saturday. So it'll be a little bit different from the past couple of weekends. We're going to talk to Brooke Kirchhoffer coming up here at 7:45 this morning. We will talk to her about the New Orleans Saints and some of the thoughts behind there. Peyton Turner out with a toe injury. They are dealing with some of the struggles on the offensive line with Trevor Penning. We will talk to Brooke coming up here at 7:45. We'll talk LSU football with Wilson Alexander coming up here at 8:15 this morning. A lot of you asking, what is that on Jordy's hat? What is I got on my hat? This is a Tiger Air. This is the Zephyr standard model that you can clip on to your hat. You can clip it on to your chest, to your shirt. You can clip it on anywhere to get some fresh air from our friends over at Tiger Air. We've talked a lot about their products that they had installed in football helmets. The AC, it's just a push button. You can clip it on. It's a nice, fresh air of a fan blowing on you wherever you may be, especially down here in the summer sun. Tiger Air has a great product. If you want to log online, you can check them out, TigerAire.com. TigerAir.com is where you can find them online. Make sure and let them know that you heard it here on the Culotta Show. Really looking forward to our partnership. They'll be sponsoring all of our social media throughout football season as well. So make sure if you check us out on social media that you give Tiger Air a follow as well. Some more from Brian Kelly stopping this Mississippi State rushing attack, which Mississippi State, this is the difference, obviously, between Mike Leach calling plays over the last couple of years and the new offensive sets that are running through Starkville now. Much more of a commitment to the run. Here's number 12 of Brian Kelly speaking about the rush attack from the Bulldogs.
Right? I mean, this is a lot. This is a lot different than what we've seen in the past. This is clearly something that we'll be able to prep for and prepare for during the week. But Will Rodgers is an outstanding quarterback as well. He's not going to, hand the ball off if there's 9 guys on the line of scrimmage. He's a very capable quarterback. So you got to be defeating, blocks at the line of scrimmage. We've got to have some gap integrity, and we got to play similar to the way we played in the second half.
It'll be interesting to watch how how Mississippi State plays now, because they've been so identified in playing one style, and Will Rodgers is kind of been the trigger man for that for so long. And now him switching to a different style and more the commitment to the run. It's definitely a different day with Mississippi State in the way that the game, you have to prepare for the game. Obviously, Brian Kelly being a part of this game last season and going up against Mike Leach to a year later in Zach Arnett and what this offense looks like, following, kind of a 1-year change in turnover. Is definitely going to be a different, and obviously the 11 a.m. kickoff. So this one will be, a little bit of an abnormal game for LSU as far as the early start goes, as yesterday it was reported and announced that the LSU-Arkansas game will kick off at 6 o'clock inside Tiger Stadium. So that will be a night game, SEC game inside Tiger Stadium. And not to look ahead at all, but KJ Jefferson through 2 games has been really impressive. He has been really impressive. Dan Enos is the offensive coordinator over there. He spent a little bit of time around Arkansas, was away, Alabama, Miami, now back. He's calling plays as the OC, and Jefferson, he's been pretty impressive through the first 2 games of the season, and he'll be in Baton Rouge next Saturday, and that game had been announced yesterday that they will kick off at 6 o'clock. So a night game in Tiger Stadium should be cool. Hopefully a great atmosphere coming back from Mississippi State after this weekend as LSU opens up conference play on the road in Starkville. We were talking a little bit about Lance Hurd, and Brian Kelly spoke briefly about him yesterday and anticipates him kind of getting into a rotation. Said that Miles Frazier would still be the guy, but you can feel, the real estate running out for Frazier. You can feel the days are numbered. It's kind of like last season with Emory Jones. You can almost, like, it wasn't if, it was when. And Jones, at this exact point in the season last year, became the starter at right tackle on the offensive line. If you remember last year, they threw him out there against Southern, and he was really impressive, where, I mean, he was just pile driving guys into the ground. He was driving people, 10, 12, 15 yards off the ball. And, it became very evident, very clear that you had to play Jones. You had to put him on the offensive line, and they made that move immediately. And against Mississippi State, when they opened up conference play, he was making tremendous plays on special teams, and he was also starting at right tackle on the offensive line. I think that's the progression that you see with Lance Hurd. I think that once they put him in this weekend, and he may not start, it kind of sounded like Kelly was still maybe
going with experience,
locked to the older player.
I thought the way that they used Lance Hurd, even against Grambling, was interesting, where they brought him in and brought him out, brought him in, brought him out. Like, he never really solidified him. It wasn't like a quick transition to, not even a quick transition, but all right, now you're running with the ones. It was bring him in, bring him out, bring him in, bring him out, which at some point, if you're going to do that, just wait until the second quarter and you can play him play him the whole second quarter. But instead, they kind of wanted him to run with the ones, but didn't really want it to be obvious that he was running with the ones, and they would take him out and put Frazier back in. And I guess that all kind of leads you to the road of which LSU is on right now, where Miles Frazier will start, and then you'll see Lance Hurd come in at some point. But I think the team the running game looked different when he was in. He's just, you can't ignore the talent.
You've rewatched, I've
I did
rewatched
too.
the game 3 times, and I specifically rewatched to see what
Got
Lance
the pads
Hurd,
rolled up.
Yeah, specifically to see what Lance Hurd looked like at left or right tackle. And when he stepped in the game, it was push.
It was markedly different.
You could see the left side. The left side of the line's always getting pushed. Will Campbell and what's our guy's name? Dellinger.
Dellinger's marking bodies too.
Exactly. So
the left side is fine.
They are banging people, but then you look at the right side, it's always kind of like 70's always kind of getting pushed back a little bit. Emory Jones is giving push, but he's getting pushed back because he got 70 next to him getting pushed back too. And then you see Lance Hurd come in, and they are just mauling people. It's just like
he just plays
mean,
with a different
nasty.
It just plays with a different type of mentality. I mean, you can't fake a 5-star. No. I mean, sometimes you can get exposed whenever you look at star rankings, but Lance Hurd is not the one to use that comparison for. He is legit, and it's just makeup. His body type is left tackle at playing right tackle, and then if you can slide, the real key is sliding Emory Jones over to guard.
No doubt.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, really,
you have 3 left tackles on your team if you really kind of think about it.
It gives you putting Lance Hurd in gives you a 2-for-1 type scenario. It makes the entire right side of the offensive line
better,
a different style of play. I mean, you saw Emory Jones when Lance was in there. I mean, he was pulling, he was showing off athleticism. It
looks so beautiful.
I mean, 10, 12 yards off of the line of scrimmage. He sat in the studio and said he would rather be a guard. Yeah. I mean, playing at the Under Armour All-American game and them training him there that week, I mean, he really he saw the light bulb go on. And Brian Kelly's comments about Emory Jones last week I thought was pretty telling. Out of all 3 of them, out of Campbell, Jones, and Hurd, Jones is the most versatile one.
And he benefits the most.
Jones is probably going to be the one in the NFL that plays the longest because he'll be on a roster for so long because he can play multiple positions. I'd imagine if you told Emory Jones that you need to learn how to snap, in 3 weeks he could be a center.
Yeah.
Just because he's that skilled. I mean, he can play guard, he can play tackle, he's proven he can play right tackle. He's just about to prove that he can play inside as a guard here once SEC plays and Lance Hurd is the starting right tackle. I mean, you're 2 games away from that. And his versatility is what is going to make him a very, very wealthy dude. I mean, his value and worth on an offensive lineman in the NFL. I mean, I've heard Kevin Mawai sit around and talk about, what gives value to offensive linemen in the NFL is being able to do multiple things, to be able to play multiple spots, because every team carries a swing guy, a guy that can play tackle, guard for you. And if, you're one of those guys, I mean, there is heavy, heavy value that is placed on that. And Jones has shown through his first, year and 2 games in college that he's extremely versatile. And the ability to insert Lance Hurd into the starting lineup and now kick Emory Jones down, you've totally changed the right side of the line. I mean, I know that Emory Jones was a part of that, but moving him down creates a whole different opportunity for him to make plays and affect the game in a different way. I think the faster they can get to Hurd, the better they are up front. So here is Kelly, this is 14, talking about Mason Smith, who made his return last week. Obviously, all eyes were on Zero and the defensive lineman on what he was going to be feeling like, how he was going to be moving around out there. Here was Brian Kelly's thoughts after having a weekend to evaluate.
He was excited to play, and he played hard. But you can imagine, there was a little bit of rust, having not played in over a year. And I'm sure he's anxious to get back out there this weekend.
Mason Smith, you saw him for the first time. I think Mason Smith, he's more hurt than we thought.
Yeah, you can tell he's like still working through some stuff.
85, 90%. He's still kind of getting that trust about it. I think when Brian Kelly made the comments a couple of weeks ago that even if he would have been eligible against Florida State, you don't know how much he would have played. I think that kind of shocked a lot of people. It definitely shocked. I was always under the impression that Mason Smith was a full go. And then watching him play last weekend, you could tell his motor was running, man. I mean, he was amped to be out there. But there is still, I think, a couple of weeks or games or, experiences that he needs to go through to get that mental part back to it and really trust it. Another name that popped over the weekend was Caleb Jackson out of the run game. This is 9 of Kelly speaking about where Caleb Jackson fits in after 2 games of his rookie season.
Usage going forward.
Well, I think with both backs, it was a physicality. There was runs after contact. There was, that physical presence that we were looking for. But obviously, look, no disrespect to our opponent, but it was not an SEC opponent. And so we were able to control the line of scrimmage and do it with regularity. So I think we'd be standing here with a whole different feeling if we weren't able to control the line of scrimmage. So I think we just, we were more diversified in our running game. As you saw, we ran, probably 4 or 5 different schemes up front. But the goal here was to get off the ball, and that's what we did. We got off the ball, we ran hard, we featured 2 new backs that we hadn't seen, and we liked the results. Now let's move forward with that.
Obviously, Logan Diggs was the winner at the running back spot on Saturday night. A lot of praise for Noah Cain from Brian Kelly after the game as he featured Cain afterwards in the locker room and gave him a game ball for staying locked in and scoring a fourth-quarter touchdown for LSU over the weekend. Riley Ortega says that LSU, or judging by some of the comments that we made going into the offseason or in the offseason at Jordy, but the way you guys overreact make it seem like you guys expected a title in year 2. That's not true. I did expect this team to possibly be a championship contender. But if you go back and listen to any of the previews going into the season, there was huge question marks around the defensive backfield that had to be answered before LSU could be solidified as a contender, right? I thought that they had the frontline talent to be a title contender as far as the league went, but there had to be some things that you had to see first, right? I thought that they were going to be much better at linebacker. They're not. I was wrong there. But I definitely was. Before I really jumped in with LSU, I wanted to see if they could guard or not. I mean, that was always kind of my question mark around this team was whether or not guys like Zy Alexander, Deuce Chestnut, J.K. Johnson's been a huge miss for LSU. Not miss as far as being on the field, but just like missing his availability out there. Right?
He's probably been CB2. Him and Denver probably would have been the two corners.
Agreed. I mean, for a lot of what we were hearing, J.K. Johnson was a guy that was really kind of making some waves early on before he got hurt and is going to be knocked out for, the rest of the season. And obviously, you got Denver Harris back there who's been just kind of a late to catch on to what LSU wants. But I think that, ultimately he's their top cover guy. And, after that, it leaves a lot to be desired through 2 games. So while I thought going into the season that they would have a possibility of being a title contender, a Final Four type team, after seeing 2 games of them play, well, they're not. They're not good enough in the defensive backfield. They're not good enough at the second level defensively. And, I think there's some question marks about how they use the talent. And, that's just my honest evaluation. If that's a overreaction, well, you can be deemed as that, but that's just honest. I thought going into the season, look at their offensive talent. They still, in my opinion, have more weapons than just about any other LSU team I've ever covered. When you just kind of run down the list, John Emery gets back to work this weekend, and you just saw Logan Diggs for the first time. I didn't know Logan Diggs could move like that.
Be nice to see 3 and 4 at the back.
Aaron Anderson gets Aaron Anderson gets in the fold with what we have 4 targets, 4 catches,
a little screen pass,
and they're starting to use him the way that I feel like we thought that he would. Where you get him the ball in space, which I'm going to continue to say this because I feel like it's been a massive. I don't want to say the Florida State game was a disappointment. Right? Like it just because of the way that it ended, but don't forget that you were in the game 17-17 and winning the game at one point. Jesus. Like, I understand what the final score was, but LSU showed out and showed the amount of talent that it had, and that's without Mason Smith, that's without Denver Harris, that's without John Emery, that's without Logan Diggs. That's with a game plan that they went in with that kind of felt like the same old LSU that you saw last year. You saw some innovation on offense against Grambling. The measuring stick of when LSU fans will either ride with this team or jump off the ledge is Saturday.
Brooke Kirchhoffer, who covers the New Orleans Saints for NewOrleans.Football, obviously the Louisiana Sportscaster of the Year. What an addition to Underhill's crew over there at NewOrleans.Football. They are covering the Saints better than anybody. When we come back, we will talk to Brooke about some of the storylines from the Saints after Week 1. Saints 1-0 after an ugly win versus the Titans, but a W is a W as they move on this week in the NFL. We'll talk to her about storylines around Peyton Turner, around the offensive line. How does Aaron Rodgers' injury maybe affect New Orleans Saints? Does it at all? We'll ask her some of those questions and more coming back right here on the Jordy Culotta Show, where daily we are brought to you by our friends over at Hughes Mechanical. Hughes Mechanical AC is where you can find the best HVAC service contractors in the game. Get in touch with them by dialing up 225-658-2147 or log online to hughesmechanical.net. Residential or commercial services, they can help you out today with your AC. hughesmechanical.net is online. They have a great service area. They are located over in Zachary, but service all along the South Louisiana corridor, from Lafayette to Baton Rouge to Hammond to New Orleans, all throughout the North Shore. You can get in touch and find Hughes Mechanical Contractors. They are a trusted Daikin dealer. They're online at hughesmechanical.net, and you can call Travis Hughes and the crew at 225-658-2147. Make sure and tell them that you heard it right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Looking forward to talking some Saints next with Brooke right here on the Jordy Culotta Show, built every day by RMB Builders. Red Stick Sports, a local staple in Baton Rouge to all sports fans, was founded back in 1981 and has remained a family business for over 40 years. Today, they still have the great selection on the floor, but they're also a leader in custom apparel for businesses, sports teams.
So don't pronounce the second H. It's Kirchhoffer.
At FM Digital Media, they help us out with all of our apparel. Let them help you out today. Go ask for Cody over at Red Stick Sports. Check them out online at redsticksports.biz.
The Jordy Culotta Show is brought to you by A-Bears Lawn Maintenance. Commercial or residential, A-Bears Lawn Maintenance is ready to work. A-Bears can tackle all your homeowners association requirements. Call Blake at 225-485-8022. A-Bears Lawn Maintenance.
In a wreck, Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys is ready to go to work for you. Come meet your team.
I'm I'm your intake specialist. I coordinate your case and connect you with your attorney and paralegal.
That's us, your legal team.
Here you go.
Thanks. And we'll fight to get you every dollar you deserve.
I'm your settlements and disbursement manager, and I'm here to get you paid on time.
I'm attorney Gordon McKernan. Put our team to work today. Just call us. Get it done.
Hey Tiger fans, when you're traveling through Natchez, Mississippi, make sure to visit Tom and Wright Granning at Go Mart and On The Go Deli, where you can fill up your tank and your belly. Go Mart has clean restrooms, community coffee, an awesome beer cave, and a great selection of anything you may need on your trip. Located at 4 Sergeant Prentice Drive as you're entering Natchez on the left. Also stop by Wardo's Po' Boys at 309 North Broadway on the beautiful Natchez Bluff, where the Po' Boys are so good you'll swear you're in Cajun country.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
All right, buddy. Make it a good shot.
Oh, yeah.
Sticking the roof in.
For a hole in your roof, or a whole new roof, go roof. Roof, roof, go roof.
Hey, Greg, the roof up?
Roof's up. Roof's up. Roof's up.
Roof's up?
Roof's up.
Roof's up! Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
Phil's Oyster Bar, a staple of South Louisiana since 1945, located in Southdown Shopping Center and online at philsoysterbar.com. If you log online, you can learn about the private party schedule, the catering menu, and even order online. Daily lunch specials Monday through Friday. Learn about the history when Gus Piazza took it over in the early 70s, made it an absolute stop-in for everyone who came through Baton Rouge, and now Anthony, his son, carrying on the tradition. Phil's Oyster Bar, Southdown Shopping Center, and online, philsoysterbar.com. All right, welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, built by RMB Builders and daily brought to you by our friends over at Katie's Restaurant down in New Orleans. As remember, Saints games and NFL action Sundays, Katie's new hours, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. Just added 6 new televisions to the spot as well. So if you're heading to the Dome, you can check them out pregame. If you're want to go in postgame after the Dome experience, you can. Or if you just want a place to post up and watch your games on Sunday, remember Katie's over on Iberville Street in Mid-City. Katie'sInMidCity.com. Katie'sInMidCity.com. Been around since '84. Speaking of Saints and New Orleans, down in New Orleans, the Saints are 1-0 after a win versus Tennessee this weekend. New Orleans.Football is covering the Saints better than anybody right now. They had a huge addition in the offseason by the Louisiana Sportscaster of the Year in Brooke Kirchhoffer, and she is going to be a weekly guest with us talking New Orleans Saints, and we are looking forward to that. That'll be every Tuesday at 7:45 in the morning, and we'll bring her in for her opening segment here for the rest of the season. Brooke, thank you for the time this morning. It is good to talk to you, and really looking forward to this season.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Looking forward to being on the show every Tuesday. You guys do a great job.
Thank you. You guys over at New Orleans.Football are, good Lord, running away with it down there. All right, so let's start with a little bit of the bad. Peyton Turner, I see, has a turf toe injury, waking up here on Monday morning after week 1. Where did the Saints go from here at that position, and what does that mean for him?
So it's expected that he's most likely going to have surgery, and it's one of those injuries where it's week one, it's Peyton Turner. You're expecting him to finally have a breakout season in an injury. That's a really frustrating one. I don't think a lot of fans realize just how painful a turf toe injury is, and it's serious. I mean, this is a guy who's going to have to sit for a while, and it hurts the Saints as far as depth. When you look at their defensive ends on the roster, you have Tano Passanio that's going to fill in that backup defensive end role. But outside of that, you have an Isaiah Foskey who is inactive for game one. So what are they going to do with the defensive end depth? Are they maybe going to go try and get somebody in? I'm not sure what's going to happen there, but a huge blow for Peyton Turner, who can, I guess you can say it continues to be a disappointment, not including the injury, but just the disappointment of not being able to get this guy on the field and really capitalize on a first-round draft pick. Everybody was tweeting and posting about, look, this is Marcus Davenport 2.0 all over again. But really, yeah, I know. The Saints were saying that when I said that last time with you guys, the Saints were saying that as a good thing, but obviously it is proving to not be. It is once again another roller coaster with a really talented defensive end who just hasn't been able to put it together because of injuries, and they're just not going to be able to see him on the field for a little bit. So we'll see what happens. Tano Passanio, I think that will handle that backup defensive end role. As we know, they like to rotate the guys out on the defensive line throughout the flow of a game. I think they're going to be fine, but they need to add some depth back to that room.
To spin it into a positive, I was impressed with the defensive line, though, the production of it.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the offseason signings and the production that they had in week one, that looked like a successful offseason addition.
Yeah, Jordy, that was the worry. Either it was going to work or it wasn't with this new shaped defensive line with Nathan Shepard in there, and I'm trying to think of the other defensive tackle that's also in there. Colin Saunders. You make these two big additions, and Brian Brzee also got a lot of work in a defensive tackle. They proved that going lighter and quicker on the interior defensive line works. They would have been in trouble had it not worked in week one. And what better test than to get a guy like Derrick Henry trying to slow him down. You also have Tajay Spears that you had to slow down as well, who's a little bit of a different running back for the Titans. He's a little more twitchy, more dynamic of a running back when it comes to side. But they were able to slow down Derrick Henry in this Titans offense, and Cam Jordan had the two batted passes down. This was one of the better defensive performances that I've seen. I'm sure we will get to the secondary, but the defensive line was really, really impressive in this game.
Take me to the other side of the line of scrimmage in the offensive line. I know that Trevor Penning's getting a lot of attention here after Sunday. Obviously, from the unit standpoint and then to the individuals, what was your takeaway?
To me, I think Trevor Penning most likely had a lot of nerves in week one. It was a big concern all of preseason, making sure Trevor Penning got a lot of reps. We saw him play in almost every preseason game. The Saints wanted to make sure there was that high volume to make sure he was active and ready for the season. I think a lot of it, again, nerves, not having as many reps under his belt coming back from injury, and just being young. I mean, he was a rookie last year who didn't get a lot of time on the field that they would have liked. They brought him some help. We actually talked with Juwan Johnson yesterday, and I'm like, how's the body holding up? Because he was essentially an extension of the offensive line, helping Trevor Penning on that side. I'm a little concerned with James Hurst as well, because I thought maybe in the flow of a game, maybe you take out Trevor Penning, slide James Hurst to left tackle, put Andres Pete at left guard. But looking back at the film, James Hurst struggled as well in the offensive line. I think there's some communication issues maybe there. You have a new quarterback. They didn't really necessarily get any push in the run game. Jamal Williams averaged 2.5 yards per carry, which is just not going to be good enough in the NFL. Of course, they didn't have Alvin Kamara and Kendre Miller, so we'll see what happens when that gets added back to the fold. But yeah, the offensive line, it was not a great performance. Derek Carr was able to at least handle the pressure and get the ball out quickly. Not every time. He was sacked a few times in this game, but the offensive line is definitely a key emphasis heading into week 2 for the Saints team.
Remember, read the work at neworleans.football. All right, speaking of Carr, what do we make? It was kind of like a tale of two halves, it felt like, from the play calling standpoint, the creativity standpoint, and kind of the production standpoint. Week 1, I'm kind of with you on the nerves thing. A win is a win in the NFL. It's hard to win in that league.
Yeah.
So, I mean, first things first. But, All right, so Carr, you got 4 quarters of evaluation now. What was your takeaway?
I mean, for a guy who had pressure in his face the entire game, I was impressed. To be able to stand in the pocket and be able to move around, like, we weren't really sure what Derek Carr was going to look like. Now, look, he looked like the old Derek Carr in the red zone, which was a big concern. He went, I believe, 1 of 4 in the red zone, which that's something that has to get cleaned up. That had a lot to do, I think, with the offensive line issues. But Derek Carr didn't have a bad game. He completed about 70% of his passes after being sacked 4 times in this game. He spread the wealth, finding Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Michael Thomas early and often, which was really good to see because we weren't sure if that connection we saw in training camp was going to hold up in the regular season. I would have liked to see the tight ends get a little bit more involved. We know that Derek Carr is a tight end friendly quarterback, but as I mentioned earlier, the tight end, whoever was in there, was having to be that extra help on the offensive line. Given on the left side of the offensive line, they were really struggling to protect Derek Carr. You clean up that protection, I think it's wide open for Derek Carr against the Carolina Panthers at Carolina on Monday night. They, as we know, they got beat by the Falcons 24-10. We'll see what happens there, but I think they're going to be able to get after this Panthers team a little bit better than they did the Titans.
The running back spot was one going into the game that everybody was curious about, obviously with Alvin Kamara serving the first of a 3-game suspension. Look, you didn't average 3 yards a carry. It was from a stat day, a bad one. But I thought at the times that they needed it, especially at the end of the game, Williams got that big first down. What did you make of that spot?
I think we learned about who Jamal Williams is. I was expecting maybe like bouncing off the offensive line and finding space. He's not that kind of back. He is going to be somebody who is just going to follow the offensive line forward. He is a guy that's just going to pound the run game. It just didn't work because they didn't get a lot of push with the offensive line. Not saying it didn't work the whole game, but we saw him break off a couple of good runs. But I think once you add Kendre Miller back in, I think he should most likely play in week 2. He didn't practice all last week leading up to week 1, but he was questionable, which is a good sign. That means he is closer to getting on the playing field rather than going into the week saying that he is just ruled out entirely on a Friday. So him being ruled questionable on a Friday, leaving the option open to potentially have him play in that first game, that leads me to believe that he's further along than we think. Alvin Kamara, they're just not going to get him back until week 4, and the other options that you have there at running back, just the Tony Jones Jr. and the Kirk Merritts, they're not going to be able to have production like a Kendre Miller and Alvin Kamara. So you kind of just have to find a way to get over the hump of those first three games, and the Saints knew that. They knew that it was going to be a struggle running the football with Alvin Kamara out. They did expect Kendre Miller to be in there, but I think if he's healthy and ready to go in week 2, you're going to see a change in the run game with Jamal Williams and Kendre Miller able to be that 1-2 punch because they are 2 very different runners. As I mentioned, Jamal Williams isn't that dynamic back that you saw like a Bataille Spears. And Kendre Miller is. He's going to be somebody who's able to get around. He's a really good pass-catching running back, as we saw in the preseason. I'm excited to see that. So there's a lot of questions that still need to be answered about the run game, but I'm not too concerned about it.
Olave, 10 targets, 8 grabs, over 100. He looked great out there. From the wide receiver standpoint, obviously Shaheed makes the touchdown grab. And I thought Mike Thomas had, some confidence-building grabs. What did you think of that group?
Yeah, I'll mention Michael Thomas first. In post-game, one thing that really stood out to me that Derek Carr said was he was going to Michael Thomas had pulled him aside during the flow of a game, and it was that crunch play where Michael Thomas got almost like jackknifed in the middle of the field, which was kind of scary to see. But actually, for that play, he went up to Derek Carr on the sideline and said, just throw it to me. Like, I'm going to be in there. I'm going to get it. I don't care if I get beat up. It's a really good sign for Michael Thomas, the confidence in his body and that he's feeling healthy enough to take some of these hits. I mean, Michael Thomas was known for the contested catches. To see that back in action was really good to see. To see Chris Olave back in action was really good as well. We know he put on size and had put an emphasis on the contested catches. We saw a little bit of that in week one. Look, I don't think we're seeing the full scope of what this offense is capable of just yet, just because Derek Carr was under pressure the majority of the game. He had a hand in his face, pressure in his face, pretty much the entire game, all 4 quarters, because the offensive line was collapsing against a really good Titans defensive line. I don't think the Panthers have as good as a defensive line, so we'll see what happens there. But once Derek Carr maybe gets a little bit more comfortable in the offense, look, Pete Carmichael too, working with a new quarterback. I think the play calling, now that he's had one full game, because remember, they only had one series together in the very first preseason game, and then that was it outside of the joint practices. So now that Pete Carmichael has seen how Derek Carr is comfortable in the flow of a game, kind of seeing who he likes to go to, I think it's going to open up this offense. And you're going to see an offense by committee. I don't think you're going to have a game where it's Chris Olave has 15 catches and Michael Thomas has 2, Rashid has 3. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think it's going to be one of those where they're spreading it out, especially with the additions of Jimmy Graham. We didn't get to really see him much in this game plan. I want to see how they utilize him in that red zone third down situation. We didn't really see that. Also, Foster Moreau kind of went completely under the radar. I'm looking here and receiving. He's not even on the list. So once you can get those tight ends back and involved, when you figure out the offensive line issues, I think we're going to see a new look Derek Carr who's comfortable and confident in the pocket, and hopefully they clean up the red zone.
Saints win by 1, and Groupie makes all of his kicks. Broncos lose by 1, Brooke. And Lutz misses.
No.
A couple of kicks. When I saw that, I thought, my first thought was Sean Payton is going to kill Will Lutz. Second off was that the Saints won the day. I mean, that was just kind of like, side by side. You're thinking, wow. I mean, you kind of dodged one. What did you think of that?
Didn't you say it's hard to win in the NFL, right?
That's right.
Man, yeah, I was, to be honest with you, I was hurting for Will Lutz because it was something we were paying attention to. It's something I think anybody that's in tune with what happened in training camp with the Saints and that kicker battle, everybody was going to see and go look over at that box score in Denver and see what was going on. Hurt for Will Lutz, but wow, seemed like the Saints went the right route with Blake Grupe. I mean, he was perfect for field goals and the 1 extra point. Of course, there was only 1 touchdown in this game. Not a pretty game on offense for week 1, but no, Blake Grupe was there to put it away. 26-yard field goal, 33-yard field goal, 52-yard field goal. And that 52-yard field goal is a big one. I think people need to recognize that too as well, that look, without that, the Saints lose this football game. Blake Grupe looked confident as we've seen him all of training camp, and it kind of solidified that role. Now, punter, that's still a question. It was kind of hit or miss throughout the flow of a game with Lou Headley. And look, he's coming from kicking an entirely different football with rugby and like kind of changing over. But that's one of the reasons why they said they liked him, some of the different things that he can do and the way he can place the football in the NFL. So we'll see how that comes along. But yeah, no, the Saints fans should not have any concern with their kicker. But I hurt for Will Lutz because Sean Payton is wearing him out all week about that.
Brooke, last one, I'll get you out of here. A crazy Monday night game last night to open the season. Saints are up next. They will be hosting Carolina, or excuse me, no, they'll be in Carolina next Monday night. Did Aaron Rodgers' injury last night on Monday Night Football have any effect on the New Orleans Saints? Do you think
it should?
Yeah.
It should. I think if you're a smart head coach, you're looking at the Saints quarterback room, which, we have to mention the Jake Haener failed drug test because this really plays into it now. He's not going to be available to come back for 6 games, and you would have felt more comfortable if they would have called to ask for Jameis Winston. Now it kind of puts things in a bad situation because Jake Haener is not available for 6 games. You don't have that emergency quarterback. You have Taysom Hill in that role, but Taysom Hill, let's say you trade Jameis Winston, Taysom Hill has to be your backup quarterback and Jake Haener is your emergency quarterback, which God forbid in the next 6 games, Carr, Taysom, something happens to them, you've got nobody to go to. So I would have felt a lot more confident saying that the Saints would be considering shopping Jameis Winston to Green Bay. I don't necessarily know if that's going to be the case now, given the failed PED test for Jake Haener. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, anything can happen. Could you imagine if Derek Carr went to the Jets? I mean, that's what I was thinking about is, he was in that conversation before the Aaron Rodgers news really started heating up. It's such a wild week one, but these injuries happen. As we saw with Peyton Turner, he's going to be out for a while. But if you're an NFL fan, it stinks seeing Aaron Rodgers go down in that way because everybody was looking forward to seeing what he would do in New York. So it stinks all around, but I would not be surprised if the Jets are calling the Saints about a potential trade for Jameis Winston.
Fearing an Achilles MRI today up in New York for Aaron Rodgers. That news will be coming out here shortly. Brooke, over at NewOrleans.Football, you can listen to their work on podcasts. You can read their work at NewOrleans.Football. They cover the New Orleans Saints better than anybody. They have great relationships and great information, and you can catch Brooke here every Tuesday. Thanks as always. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate the time. Next time I'm putting the dog up. I got a 6-month puppy who is making too much noise in the background. She's sitting right next to me in a little playpen. I thought I was safe. I'm not. So she's going in the next
going ham in there.
I was going to text you to ask you, like, what the hell is going on? But
I'm
moreover,
I'm snapping at her, trying to get her attention.
I saw the eyes darting, and I was like, there's something going on in the background. Yeah.
I mean, that was 10 minminutes of fighting that. That was incredible work.
Do you guys want to see her?
Yeah,
absolutely. Now, I mean, we got to now.
Start of the show.
Because I was
this is
the culprit.
This is the troublemaker.
Oh,
this is the troublemaker
wow.
for the
What's the
other
name?
side.
Big fluff.
Her name is Rue. Had to go with the Louisiana
Of
name. I'm
course.
from Texas, so if I'm getting a puppy dog in New Orleans, I need to make sure it's
nice.
She's got a Louisiana name.
labeled.
Well,
absolutely.
Rue, welcome to the party. We're sorry to keep you out. It was she obviously wanted in. So thank you.
She did.
She's always welcome. Thank you, Brooke.
Thanks, guys.
It's either that or a laundry machine.
That's right. Yeah, I didn't know what
dryer.
was going on. That was incredible to fight through that.
Oh yeah, you could see the eyes
Yes.
and like something was distracting.
Follow her on Twitter.
Need more dogs.
She'll be here every week. Gotta have more dog. At Brooke Chesney is where you can follow her. And I will tell you, she can read the comments. So don't be assholes. I mean,
cut some grass.
good Lord, man. I mean, rather than coming across like Les Miles, just tell her she's good at her job, for God's sakes, because she is the best in the game. She was recognized as the Louisiana Sportscaster of the Year. Follow her on Twitter at Brooke Chesney. She's fantastic. And NewOrleans.Football. I mean,
the internet is free.
Good Lord, man.
This is Jesus,
good
fellas.
Lord. Where are the adults at?
Fellas.
I think that's the problem.
I mean,
Somebody locked the door for
That's
this guy.
what they
Get
said.
the hell out of here, man. Just tell her she's good at her job.
It's like the people at the Christmas party after you've been drinking. It's like, just go home.
Yeah, right.
Nothing
Too late for you.
Nothing that you're
It's too
doing is
late
probably
for you.
going to work.
Or if you think she looks good, tell her she looks good and she's good at her job. Don't do what this is. This is just
weird.
oh my goodness.
Remember, Daily, we're brought
Super
to you by
chatter.
Go Roof online at GEAUXRoof.com. Get in touch with our friends over at Go Roof. You can find them there at GoRoof.com. A beautiful roof every single time. You can request a quote online and once you get there, or you could call them 225-927-8300 225-927-8300. Get a 2-year free workmanship guarantee with all new roof installations, whether it is residential roof, whether it is commercial roofing, or whether it's roofing repairs. You can get in touch with Go Roof at GEAUXRoof.com. GEAUXRoof.com is where you can find them online. A beautiful roof every single time. And we tell you they got great experience. They have the free inspection that they can help you out with. Over 15 years, licensed and insured, and proudly supporting all of our communities here in South Louisiana. They can help you out wherever you are. You can get in touch with them. Go Roof, GEAUXRoof.com. A beautiful roof every single time, whether it is commercial, residential, or roofing repairs. All right, we'll get back to the LSU discussion with Wilson Alexander. From one award winner to another, Wilson Alexander.
Don't bring
next.
that same energy for Wilson.
Yeah.
Wilson Alexander next here on the Jordy Culotta Show, as always, built by RMB.
These comments live forever, by the way. People can see these for the rest of time.
If you're in the market for a mortgage lender, you need to start with Doug Bickley and his team. Bickley has built a crew with over 50 years of combined lending experience. They've been in business for over 20 years, and they love helping their clients achieve the American dream of home ownership. They're also key with working in real estate agents and helping their clients getting same-day pre-approval. They average about one buyer a day getting them in a home. If you want to get in touch with Doug and his crew, it's easy. Call them 225-214-5154. 225-214-5154. Go see the Bickley team today. They're located on the corner of Coursey Boulevard and Sherwood Forest right here in Baton Rouge. Is it time to wash your house or business? Call the pros at Hydro Wash today. Get them out with their low-pressure, soft-washing cleaning approach. From commercial buildings, rooftops, and residentials, Hydro Wash is ready to get your place shining. Find them on Facebook or call Curtis at 225-933-7068. Take it from me, Hydro Wash came by and made my house look like new. What was best was the professionalism. They picked up everything, made the clean, and then put everything back to where it belonged. Get in touch with Curtis today. Call him at 225-933-7068 or find Hydro Wash on Facebook.
What's up?
What's happening?
Chilling with a couple of cool guys. You?
Chilling and watching some tube. Hold on. Did you do it? Hold on. Did you do it?
Roof's up.
Hold on.
Roof's up?
Roof's up!
Roof's up!
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
Beautiful roof every single time.
True. True.
At Auctioner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Auctioner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one. You. Auctioner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Are you looking for sound financial advice? Then get in touch with Daniel Newman of Edward Jones. You can call him today at 225-261-8262 or email him daniel.newman@edwardjones.com. If you're planning for retirement, saving for college for children or grandchildren, or just looking for sound investment opportunities, get in touch with Daniel today, 225-261-8262, located on Magnolia Square Drive in Central. Daniel Newman of Edward Jones.
Can't put the cart before the horse. That'd be like, will you marry me?
Do I know you?
Never sign a contract with a roofer before he gets on your roof. Call Go Roof instead. We offer a free, no obligation inspection. A beautiful roof every shingle time. Bobby, goes in the front.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Belmont Stakes Race Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Kentucky Derby Training. I'm sticking to roofing.
Roof, roof, Go Roof.
Look at that. Custom frame signed jerseys from a new sponsor over here on the Culotta Show, Signa Frames. SignaFrames.com. They're all over social media. A childhood friend, Noel Chabert, is CEO of this. You can read about it, SignaFrames.com. We're about to start running a spot on the show. I believe it's going to start tomorrow. But if you check it out, I mean, it's signed jerseys. They got the cards with it.
Nameplate.
It's cool, man. They gave us the Harold Perkins jersey, which we're finding a great spot for it inside of the studio.
I was looking at I got a Perkins. I got one for Christmas. Actually, I've never gotten a jersey before, but it's a signed, same thing like that,
Big
which is
jersey
awesome.
guy.
But I was huge. But I was looking at an old poster that I had in 2010, and Tyrann Mathieu has it signed, and he's number 12. Do you remember that? It was before the season started, so he was a freshman before the season actually kicked off. So in spring, I guess he was 12. It was one of those old Les Miles go through the gambit. I was a junior in high school.
Wow. And
he was 12 because I looked it up, and
So this was before 14?
Yes. And so he changed to 14, obviously before the first game of the year. But I thought that's got to be worth something.
Check him out online. It's got to be.
Right? There's not many. That's got to be limited edition.
Michael Jordan has a 12 jersey out there.
Oh.
Somebody stole his jersey in Sacramento.
Right.
And he played a jersey with number 12 with no name on the back. Signa Frames may be able to find it for you. They offer custom signed frame jerseys online at signaframes.com. Check out my friend Noelle Chabert and her and her man are doing this over at Signa Frames, signaframes.com. They're on Instagram and Facebook. So really looking forward to having them aboard here in the football season. Speaking of football season, every Tuesday we talk to award winner Wilson Alexander, who covers the program for NOLA.com and The Advocate. We talked to Brooke Kirchhoffer from NO.Football, who was the Louisiana Sportscaster of the Year. Wilson was recognized by ESPN as the Edward Ashoff Rising Media Member of the Year, which goes to an up-and-comer every year, and he's covering LSU football and here with us every Tuesday. Wilson, good morning. How are you?
Woo.
Good morning, gents.
Wilson, you asked a question about Harold Perkins, I believe, and the answer really punched me in the gut. And it was that Harold Perkins is going to be moved outside and that they're going to find a place where he's comfortable on the field to make plays. Why did it take 6 quarters of football for that to happen?
Well, clearly it didn't work in the first game, and so they had to make an adjustment. But it's just kind of bizarre that after an entire offseason of working with him at inside linebacker and seemingly being very committed to that, they then changed that after not even 6 quarters, after 4 quarters of football, because this is kind of what we saw in the Grambling game. He was playing it kind of almost like a nickel linebacker, outside backer, and coming down to be like a stand-up defensive end at times. Certainly coming off the edge more than he did against Florida State, but not exclusively going to be doing that. Because they have to find a place for him that somehow kind of fits into the defense, and I guess that'll be kind of this nickel linebacker, outside backer spot now. They had 3 linebackers on the field a lot more with him, Omar Spates and Greg Penn, than they did in the game against Florida State. And so, it was just the way that Florida State game went with him making 5 tackles and not really having an effect whatsoever and dropping into coverage so much that we heard Brian Kelly say coming out of that game that they had to find something that was sort of a happy medium for Harold and for LSU. And while he may still be more of an off-ball linebacker in the NFL, right now they need him to be doing some different things. And that is sort of what we saw against Grambling, and I guess that's what they'll do moving forward. But it's just sort of bizarre that one game it doesn't go well, and they're looking to try to do something differently, even after that was the entire offseason intent.
What now at linebacker? If Omar Spates is hurt, which Brian Kelly alluded to yesterday and labeled him as probable on Saturday, what is the options there? If they're moving Perkins from inside and Spates could be knocked out of the game because he might be hurt, what happens?
We don't know exactly what Omar Spates is dealing with. He left the game against Grambling, and in the second half he was wearing street clothes down on the sideline, and that's a little bit of a difference, right? Because Jaden Daniels wasn't playing in the second half, but he was still in full pads. Omar wasn't. Well, like you said, Brian Kelly listed him as probable, which is certainly a good sign early in the week that he'll play. If he doesn't, then it would probably be a combination of the Weeks brothers, starting with West. The older one, the junior, has a good bit of experience now. Played solid, certainly in the second half against Grambling, but it's going to be much different than what you have in SEC play. But he's gone through some SEC games in kind of a rotational role, and if that was the case that Omar couldn't play, he'd probably be the first one up, and maybe even in some situations you'd try the freshman. Witt has certainly popped at times, but needs to continue to develop like all freshmen need to. But he's certainly got a bright future ahead of him as he continues to get better. But that would probably be your options.
I get the sense when Brian Kelly speaks of Denver Harris is that he likes him. Like he likes the kid. He likes the guy. He wants him to catch up as a football player. When you hear him talk about Denver Harris, what do you take away from it, and what do you feel his role is growing into in the defensive backfield?
He's becoming someone who LSU trusts to actually have on the field. That was what it was always going to take at first. We were actually able to ask Brian Kelly about Denver just purely as a cornerback yesterday for kind of the first time, because up until this point, it's always been about what's going on off the field, right? With just whatever disciplinary issues he's having and not sort of meeting the standards that Brian Kelly has for these players, and particularly for Denver in this instance. But now that Brian Kelly really agreed with the word trust, with using that word choice, that Denver had sort of been gaining that, not all the way there yet, not doing everything that he has to do all the time 100%, but showing a commitment to that was what Brian Kelly said. And that's a big difference in sort of the way that Brian Kelly had been talking about Denver Harris, even right up until the first game, a few days before the first game, saying that Denver still had a long way to go, and that he didn't travel to Florida State, of course. So now that he was able to sort of start to gain that trust again, now we're talking about him as a player. And Brian Kelly said that he has always been a press corner. That's certainly the case. That's what you saw on his tape against Texas A&M. I love the quote Brian Kelly said yesterday. He pressed you coming off the bus. And so now LSU has him doing different things. There's more than you do in this defense, whether it's playing press to man or dropping into zone or, press bail, like all sorts of different kinds of things that a corner is required to do. There's been an adjustment, and maybe that's part of what we saw during early in camp, where he wasn't necessarily popping and flashing, was that he was having to just adjust as an on-field player at the same time as trying to adjust to all the things that Kelly and wanted him to do off the field. So now that he's doing that, they do seem to like what he brings. I mean, you heard a lot of good things throughout the offseason about the talent that he has, that it was raw, but it was there. And now that they can start, as long as he's able to stay on the field and continue to do the things off the field, he can begin to develop in that way, and we could actually really start to see what he is as a cornerback.
All right, we're trying to get to 200 likes here, 100 likes an hour. We need 55 likes to get there, so if you're watching and have not liked yet, hit that thumbs up.
Do it for the quaff.
What did you make of Mason Smith's input after not seeing him for over a year?
He was clearly knocking off the rust, which you would expect. It was a good thing, really, that LSU could get him into the scrambling game as his first action. In retrospect, it would have been awesome to see him against Florida State, but especially with him still kind of coming off that ankle, him telling us recently that even going into the scrambling game, it was still a little bit sore. He might have struggled a little bit against that Florida State offensive line if he was knocking off the rust. So he was able to go and do that. It looked like he got better throughout the course of the game. He didn't have a big impact on this game, but he at least has now sort of gotten his feet wet again and going into SEC play, which is important to not have to go up against much more physical offensive linemen in his first game and first bowl game since the Texas Bowl in 2022, right? I mean, he got out there, he played about 37 snaps, and so it was okay. It was really just an opportunity for him to, like I said, knock off that rust and just kind of get back to himself a little bit. And so now we'll kind of see how he does against a much stiffer competition.
Lance Hurd looks like one of the best 5 offensive linemen on this team. What do you expect his role to be this weekend as conference play opens up?
Well, Miles Frazier is going to be the starter at right guard still with Emory Jones at right tackle, but they'll probably rotate every other drive, kind of like we saw against Grambling. LSU does have the luxury right now of not having to thrust Lance right into the starting lineup and be able to make sure that he's ready and bring him along. Whereas last year, of course, that wasn't the case. LSU needed Emory Jones to go in at right tackle and do it in the OCC opener against Mississippi State right away. And he wasn't perfect all the time, but he obviously kind of got there and got up to speed. But there was some road bumps. LSU is able to, by having that rotation, maybe avoid some of those, and then find out here really quickly if he is capable of hanging in the SEC. Then going to continue to earn playing time and continue to go into that role. He's got so much potential at 6'6", 340 with the arms that go down to his knees. He's powerful. He's confident. It was Logan Diggs went up to him pregame meal before the game Saturday and asked, "Are you ready?" And I think Lance's words were, "I'm bored ready." He's so confident, and he wants to be out there. And it was great to see him sort of, get into the lineup and start to do some things. And similar with Mason and all these guys, we'll see how he does it in SEC play. And if he continues to play well, then he'll only get more playing time.
Speaking of Logan Diggs, I had no idea that it was going to look that good. If he is that guy, where is he now in this 8-man group?
If he is that guy, then he is the lead running back of this 8-man group. LSU is still certainly going to rotate. Noah Cain didn't have a touch until the fourth quarter, but that probably won't be the case in SEC play. There was kind of a chance this game to try out some guys, see what you really have in Caleb Jackson, and give Logan quite a bit of run after being limited throughout the preseason and not playing against Florida State. Like, Noah will still probably have a role of some kind, but Logan, if he is what we saw, which was, yes, of course, this was Grambling. It was not an SEC opponent, but there was still, just like you said, like something a little extra going on there. The way he was breaking tackles, elusive in the hole, picking up yards after contact, physical while also being a little bit shifty. He came to LSU, and LSU brought him in to be a big piece of this offense. And there's still going to be a rotation there at running back because they like some of the things that Josh Williams does, and now John Emery comes back this week against Mississippi State as well. And so you kind of got this group here, but it'll probably start to see a little bit of separation in terms of touches. And I would expect Logan to probably be kind of the leader of that group. As long as he's kind of got the hot hand, they'll probably continue to ride him. But if he struggles at some point, then they do have other options that they're willing to go to.
And you mentioned Caleb Jackson a little bit. Whenever you saw him back at kick returner, I know Aaron Anderson went into the game as probable, but you saw Greg Clayton actually make a move at punt returner also. It was the first time I feel like he didn't just fair catch it. Do you see a change coming at both kick returner with Caleb Jackson, almost brought one to the house, and then Greg Clayton kind of getting his feet underneath him at punt returner?
Yeah, well, Greg, he had about 30 yards of space in front of him when he returned it, and even sometimes when he had a little bit of space, he would tend to call for a fair catch. We even saw last year, like against New Mexico, Greg had a 20-yard return, and the rest of the year, he ended up mostly just calling for a fair catch. And that's not to knock Greg Clayton. Like, what he has come in and been able to do and provide some level of stability at a position that has had absolutely none
one job.
Is admirable. Exactly. Just catch the ball, and he's done a good job of doing that. And yet they still, I think, would like at some point for Aaron Anderson to take over that position. But at first, he's got to show that he can just reliably catch the ball and not try to play hero ball sometimes. And so he came in and he had a fair catch as well, which is good to see. Mm-hmm. But until Aaron's able to do that on a consistent basis, Greg's probably going to be the guy. But Caleb brought something explosive, in the kick return game that was sort of just caught your eye a little bit. The way that he just sort of shot through the hole. We've seen it as a running back, when he's had reps. And kick return might be a way for him to continue to get on the field here early, even though he's maybe a little bit further down in that running back pecking order simply because of his age and needing to continue to develop. Kick return could be a good opportunity for him to be able to continue to get some playing time into Flash because he was a little bit explosive back there.
Wilson, the quarterback discussion this week. When you look at these two guys and the body of work, Jaden Daniels is a proven commodity that you can win the West with. This team looks like it needs different production from the quarterback spot, that the strength of the offense is built on the outside where the playmakers are. The offensive line may catch up with an insertion of a guy like Lance Hurd. They may be able to catch up and they can run the ball where they thought they could. Is there an open discussion for Nussmeier getting more reps, or is this conversation closed where this is Jaden Daniels' team and that's it?
It's a little bit nuanced, I think. This is Jaden Daniels' team. He is a team captain. He is the fifth-year senior with 40-plus college starts. He's the guy who led you to 10 wins last year in an SEC West title. He is the guy who is played not great, but okay through 2 games. Certainly he played pretty well against Grambling, but he missed some throws. Everybody saw that, especially the one to Malik down the sideline and then over the middle. I think it was to Chris Hilton, both on the last drive of the first half. And obviously ends up throwing 5 touchdowns. He's the only other quarterback other than Joe Burrow to do that in a single half in a game. And so it's nuanced, right? Like there's a lot that Garrett maybe could bring. And if Jaden Daniels struggles at some point, then they feel very comfortable with Garrett. Brian Kelly has said that all offseason, that they're confident in what Garrett Nussmeier brings. And if that ends up having to be a discussion point, then it's not something that's, I guess, unrealistic. It's not like they're just going to let Jaden stay out there forever. If he's struggling or this team isn't going where it wants to go, then they might have to have that conversation. But right now, it doesn't seem like something that they would necessarily turn to. They, really, I think they do have a lot of trust in Jaden, and they want to see him continue to improve and make those throws and not leave some of those opportunities out there. But he is still, as of this moment, the guy. And that until that changes, it's not really something to expect, I don't think, that all of a sudden you're going to see Garrett Nussmeier replace him.
What's the challenge this Mississippi State provides? This is different preparation, right? When I don't know how much you've looked at Mississippi State, but with the coaching turnover and what they're doing offensively, how much of this is polarizingly different from what they've seen?
It is completely different from what they've seen in the last few years under Mike Leach with the air raid. This is no longer that kind of an offense whatsoever. The defense is very similar to because Zach Arnett is still there, the defense coordinator from the last few years with the kind of Rocky Long 3-3-5. That's going to be a difficult defense to go up against. It was certainly in the first half of last year's game. And now on the offensive side, though, is really kind of where the change has happened. They are not going to be airing it out. Will Rodgers threw the ball 17 times last week against Arizona in a win that went into overtime. That would have been unheard of. Again, that would have been the first quarter stats over the last few years. Now this is a run-heavy team. They're doing a lot of zone blocking, some stretch runs to the outside, and Jaquavius Marks is the leading rusher in the SEC right now with 250 yards through 2 games. They really are running the football. I mean, there was some 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6 plays against Arizona where they're handing it off.
Mm-hmm.
And that was obviously extremely different philosophically, offensively from where they have been. And that's going to provide some challenges to LSU, a team that has struggled to really defend the run over the last 2 weeks at times. Second half against Florida State in particular, and then really early on against Grambling, had success running the football. And so this defense is going to have to do a good job of fitting the run up front, and not just up front, but really all 3 levels, because that's something where their safeties were coming down and missing tackles and spots. They're going to have to really tackle well in the back end and on the edges in this game. And
that's something that I'll roll with you on the defense real quick, because that's something that you've seen consistently from last year to this year is the lack of tackling, or the inability to make tackle. They're in position, but you've seen it almost consistently that LSU hasn't been able to tackle. But what do you think LSU needs to do, whether it be at the linebacker position or on the back end, to kind of alleviate some of these run issues where you don't know what you're doing with Harold Perkins quite yet, and then you're lining up on a 4-2-5, and it seems to create way too much space for a team that Mississippi State is now run heavy?
Well, when they went to their Buffalo package again, which was 4 down, linemen against Grambling, they sort of avoided that, and we'll probably have to see that again against Mississippi State. I would expect, just because you're trying to make a focus on stopping the run, you need some of your bigger guys in there who are your run stoppers. It'll help that Mason has kind of knocked off some rust, because early on his pad level was really high, and even Grambling's offensive linemen who are much smaller than him were able to get their hands up on him. And that was sort of going away later on in the game as he was getting more used to it again. And so that will probably help that he's, like we said earlier, had some experience now. Maybe he'll be a little bit better early in that run defense, and maybe they get a little bit more Jordan Jefferson in there as well, because he's proven to be a pretty good run defender here through the first 2 weeks. And so it's also just about gap responsibilities and being you're fitting the run the proper way, and that's just something that LSU's coach is going to have to continue to work with them on. And when you're up in the hole, not lunging at a guy's legs. We saw that with Andre Sam, not to pick on him, but it was just, an example here that he, on that one, I think it was the 3rd and 15-yard run that Grambling had, he came up and just dove at the guy, Chance Williams, and Chance juked and, picked up that big gain to eat the chains moving and put Grambling in a position to score his first touchdown. So it's also that. I mean, they work on tackling all the time. We saw during the preseason there's a whole tackling circuit that they do at the beginning of practice. And so it's not like it's not being addressed in any way, shape, or form, but they have to continue to work on that so that when guys are coming up into the hole, it's not making a lunge at somebody, it's breaking down and exploding through the ball carrier to make the tackle.
Wilson Alexander, you can read his work on X at WHAlexander_. He is over at The Advocate and NOLA.com. He does a fantastic job of covering the program that you can read every single day. You got to subscribe for their work over there, but you can catch him every Tuesday here with us breaking it down. As always, great to see you. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for having me. I'll have a good one.
All right, man. There he is, Wilson Alexander, checking in. The award-winning Wilson Alexander does a great job of covering the program. Make sure and keep up with him every Tuesday here. Easy to find him on X at WHAlexander.
You're rolling with this X.
I mean, why not, dude? I mean, if they're going to do this, I mean,
But it's still Twitter.com, right? /X.
I think you can get there both ways. I think.
If you type in Twitter, X will come up.
Right.
If I type in X,
But yeah, it is still twitter.com.
Scared to put in www.x.com.
Oh, God. Bookmarks.
Yeah. Oh, it does come up. There we go. Twitter. All right. Works both ways. Yeah. Somebody put that tweet out. That was on the first day they changed it. It was unbelievable. X. The old history.
I mean, it's just, like at this point, they're committed.
Yeah.
I guess.
Elon is committed to the X.
I mean, you can't change it now, but I still call it Twitter.
I do too, but I'm trying to get out of the habit. That's it.
You still call it a tweet?
It's an X.
It's a post.
It's an X.
Got plenty.
Got so many.
Yeah, too many X's, Coach.
My exes live in Texas.
Remember Daily, we're brought to you, speaking of shit happens, we're brought to you by Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. You can get in touch with the crew, Jude Barker, and the folks over at Barker Brothers just by dialing them up, 225-776-2431. Had a friend ask me the other day, what's the name of the plumbing company that you guys endorse? Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works. Call them, 225-776-2431. They went out to the house over here in Baton Rouge, took care of the problem, got it fixed up that day. Obviously, they mentioned the Culotta Show, saved the 15%, which they still do over at Barker Brothers. So hit them up today, 225-776-2431, over at Barker Brothers Plumbing and Works, as we will be back and close it out here on the Jordy Culotta Show live on this Tuesday from Click Here Digital's campus.
Monday Night Football brought to you by Barker Brothers Plumbing.
Yeah,
Shit happens.
Rodgers shit happens.
Dude, the Jets are freaking out. They just the coaches just we still haven't slept. Like they're all invested.
Malik Neighbors, a wide receiver.
Favorite pregame meal?
Popeyes.
What would winning a national championship mean to you?
It would mean a lot to me because, we've seen a lot of the greats come through here, won their national championship, got, remembered for life.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Probably fly. That or telekinesis.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Do it wrong, do it long. Do it right, do it light.
Kyra Lacey, wide receiver, number 2.
Do you have any nicknames?
K2.
What's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Stay humble.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Fly. I be flying in my dreams.
What's been the highlight of your partnership with us?
The bike giveaway was one of the best things. I was pretty excited about that one. Texas A&M, I just got a point to prove because last year I dropped 2 balls I should have caught. I'm coming for them for real.
That's it. Thank you, man.
My name is Harold Perkins, and I play linebacker.
What's your favorite pre-game meal or snack?
Pasta with a little steak, something that's not too heavy.
Any superstitions or pre-game rituals?
I pray a lot. Just be me and God before the game. Perky worky. I like when they call me the percolator. I like that.
If anyone gets in a wreck, who should they call?
Gordon.
Thanks. Where were you born at, Greg?
Hattiesburg, Mississippi. But I claim 504 food because I was raised there my whole life. Favorite type of food is spaghetti. But you need to try spaghetti with some corn on the side. Funniest person, I'd probably get Kyron Lacey. He be having joked out every time I talk to him.
Who's the most athletic?
Besides myself, Perk or Malik. Future self, just take one day at a time, one step at a time. If you're doing something, just be where your feet are. Make sure you give 100% effort.
What is something on your bucket list?
Win a Super Bowl. That's definitely on my bucket list.
If you could have one superpower, what would it be?
Time traveling.
Who's the fastest on the team?
Like in a short span, I would say quick trigger, I'm taking Perk. One thing most people don't know about me, probably that I moved 12 times growing up, 12 different states.
Who's the most savage on the team?
Mason Smith. Mason Smith, definitely.
And who gets it done?
Gordon.
Thank you, man. That's great.
Emory Jones, right tackle.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
Got it from my mom, and she just told me, always keep your head on the swivel.
Favorite subject?
Math, easy. I kind of keep it light. Give me some type of red beans or something like that. Throw a little cornbread on the side.
Light with red beans.
Yeah, just a little bit. I am superstitious. I got some PSDs that's purple and yellow and white. I wear them every game. I feel like they my lucky draws, and you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep doing it.
Yeah. Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show. As always, we are built by RMB Builders. Get in touch with them over at rmb-builders.com. rmb-builders.com. Remember, you can find RMB on Instagram at RMB Builders as well. The news for the New York Jets last night.
Tough.
Man, that is as tough of a story. Some of the Jets' reaction that was coming out on social media from people that were like sending out from their living rooms or people that were at the game. I mean, it was legendary. But
you know what was crazy was
2 plays.
You have the fourth play. You have the reaction of him coming out of the tunnel with the American flag and the stadium going absolutely nuclear, and everybody from like KFC from Barstool is a huge Jets fan,
Yes,
and he's
dude.
like, they're gonna win the Super Bowl. And 4 plays later, he's like, why do I watch this
Mike
sport?
Greenberg.
Yeah.
Greenberg.
His wife
Party.
was tweeting
Party.
him.
They had like chips and dip out.
He had his hat on
Aaron
backwards.
Rodgers, he had the belt on, dude. I mean, like, it is like, it's a movie.
Oh my goodness.
He has to be like, he's gonna be must listen today.
That was his best play. The running out with the flag.
It was
his best play in a Jets uniform.
I mean, it really, 39 years old to come back off that injury. Was it Vinny Testaverde?
Yes, it was.
Was it Vinny Testaverde? Kevin Mawai always tells the story. He knew the Saints were snake bitten when they went to the AFC title game and had John Elway and the Denver Broncos beat. Like, if you go back and watch this game, this is Parcells Jets. Like, they go into Denver. Denver ends up winning the Super Bowl. And they go into Denver as a wild card team. This is like young Keyshawn.
Yeah.
Vinny Testaverde, Curtis Martin, Kevin Mawai. I mean, like, the Jets are loaded.
Jetting.
Loaded. But, like, nobody really knows about them yet.
Let's get it.
And they go into Denver, and something happens on, like, it's either like the start of the fourth quarter or the start of the second half on, like, a kickoff where the ball gets caught up in the wind. And, like, the receiving team's kind of like, and either the Jets are the receiving team or they're the kickoff team, obviously. But, like, the break goes against them. Like, they either lose the ball in the wind or the ball gets, like, scooped up in the wind. Like, something crazy happens.
Did the ball hit the little wire?
There's no wire.
This is pre-wire.
Yeah,
This
pre-wire.
is pre-wire. This is pre-wire. And, like, they were in control of the game. And, like late in the game, something happens with a kickoff. It was the wind because they're playing at Mile High.
Mm-hmm.
And they're playing in Denver. And something happens with the wind. And, like, the Jets end up getting beat. So, like, the next year when they come back, there is this huge buildup of this Jets team. Like, Vinny's back. Curtis Martin, Keyshawn's a year older.
Yeah, rookie of the year.
They got, like, Wayne Krebet. Like, they're loaded.
Hell yeah, Wayne Krebet.
They're loaded. Kevin Mawai's an all-pro. Kevin Mawai's the best center in the league at this point. They have paid him like he's the best center in the league. And I want to say, on the opening drive
of the first game
of the year, Vinny Testaverde tears his Achilles.
Trying to recover a fumble from Curtis Martin. I'm reading it right now because they interviewed him. He goes, it brought back some bad memories, Testaverde said.
They interviewed him last night?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It brought back some bad memories, but there's a clip of...
Golly, that's terrible. Because that's probably that was one of the best Jets teams.
It's the Jets.
I can't wait to hear Stugatz.
Oh, God. Did you see, like, he got memed, too. It's just his face.
Andrew Luck's still out there, Coach.
That's true. Here's the... did you... Andrew Luck. Did you see Salah on the...
Coach, are we still talking?
No.
How old is Luck?
He's
He's 2 babies in.
Yeah.
He's got to
He
be...
didn't even keep himself in shape when he played.
Andrew Luck was always in shape. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, the Colts couldn't keep him in shape.
Well, they got him pummeled into the ground. He wouldn't go behind that offensive line. Did you see, dude, the zoom in on Salah whenever it happened? Because
I felt so bad for him.
I did, but
golly,
the way that
34,
yeah, you can still play. The way that if you watched Hard Knocks and the way that he's like,
dude,
Rodgers,
he's
my
like,
guy,
we got our quarterback.
we got our look at it. Even the defensive coordinator, look how good he is.
No, who's the big defensive tackle that they just signed from Bama? You got a
Quentin
great
Williams.
personality.
Quentin Williams.
Bless you, thank you.
When he tells him that Rodgers is going to play in the preseason game, and Quentin Williams is like, "You love that.
You love him."
Because
Because he like goes out of his way to tell him. He's like, "Guess who's playing?" And he's like, "Ooh, is it 8?" And he goes, "Oh, you love 8." And that's what I'm saying. Like his face the entire first half was like he watched a murder.
He was sick.
Yeah, he was like he could have thrown up.
He was disgusted, no doubt.
Yeah.
I imagine when the guy whispered in his ear like it's his Achilles, he was probably like,
yeah,
pain,
like he's done.
Pain all over.
Look at that. I'm waiting for somebody to Photoshop that on George W. Bush's face.
This is pain.
Look at him, dude. Done. That's not even.
I want to cry.
That's
I
like.
did too. I legitimately felt awful for Rodgers first because I thought Rodgers had a real chance here with like he's embraced who he is. He's got a lot of effort now to him. His Hard Knocks experience I thought was fantastic for him. And even though the offense, like I didn't think they were going to win the Super Bowl because the offensive line is just
terrible.
Swiss cheese, man. They're terrible.
Oh, you saw it on the first 3 plays.
I mean, that's why he got hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I mean,
And
he was running away. He was trying to get away from 2 guys.
It's one of the few times I feel like you could actually put credence in what you saw in Hard Knocks because of the way that they covered the stars of the team. It was such open access that you got where you knew the defensive line was nasty and you knew that they had problems on the and you knew they had problems on the offensive line.
That defensive line wrecked that game last night.
Oh my goodness!
Like they wrecked Buffalo.
Josh Allen was playing concussed.
Yeah, he was hurt.
You saw the hit that you. Yes. Oh my goodness! The one where he fumbled on.
I mean,
he took the crown of the helmet to the mouth, and just. I mean, he's a big old dog, but he played like he was not himself.
He was in the kennel last
yeah.
night, bro.
He's
there was
one
a
of
bunch
those
of dogs on that field. That defensive line for the New York Jets
is real.
That's the best in the league. And I mean, who is second? Who's behind them? Because
Eagles.
Yeah,
Eagles.
okay. I got you.
Commanders
And
probably
then-
third.
God, you
Aaron
see
Donald by
Montez
himself?
sweat?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was one of the realest
That's a human
moments.
being.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what would you do if you're running full speed and you look up and Aaron Donald's 10 yards away from you running full speed at you? I'd throw the ball at his face.
I'd
That's what he
probably go
did.
full fetal
Me too.
position.
It-
I mean, like,
that's the best part of it is you can tell Gino's looking downfield that he looks down. He goes, "Oh my God!" Like I got a nightmare. Like this is the last person I want to see coming at me full speed. He goes full, like chuck it and fuck it. I'm out of here.
Get out of here.
Get me out of here.
Oh my God!
Right.
It's like he got like somebody ran a red light and he's walking across the street. Oh my God!
But I hate it for football, man.
Oh yeah, the Jets
Like,
for the story.
But just Aaron Rodgers. You know, I mean, like, I don't want to see Zach Wilson play football. I want to watch Aaron Rodgers play football.
Zach Wilson checked down Charlie.
Yeah. Got to throw.
They threw like 10 screens last night.
That checkdown's
that's
right
a tough
there.
spot.
Yeah. Oh,
I mean,
every
like, he was probably even hyped for last
Yeah.
night to watch Aaron Rodgers
I
play.
get to watch Rodgers
You know what I
chill.
mean? Like, I got front row seats. You know what I mean?
So
like,
glad
give
it's
me a
not-
bag of
yeah.
sunflower seeds. We're about to settle in for a good one.
Hand me that earpiece.
You know what I mean? Like,
Now
yeah,
it's
let me listen in.
Where's my headband now?
Hey, you're in.
Oh.
Damn, that game check was looking real good
Uh-huh.
over here.
I didn't want to be the one with the American flag running out the tunnel. I was ready to walk out about
right.
50th.
Let Superman play Superman.
Had to
man.
earn the game check, man.
Yeah, he went out there.
What a catch Garrett Wilson made.
Unbelievable. Brees Hall looked good too.
Brees Hall did look good.
He came off coming off an ACL.
Garrett Wilson missed that block. He would have scored too.
I don't know if Aaron Rodgers ever plays football again.
He has, as the famous TO, his agent said, or PR, he has 38 million reasons to come back next year.
How much money do you really need if you're Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
It just
38
feels like
million
it's
is a ton of
unfinished
money.
business, though,
It's a ton of
too.
money. It's a ton of money.
Yeah.
But what's Aaron Rodgers got in the bank?
And the Jets
200?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows?
You know what I
350.
mean? I mean, like,
Probably a lot more than we think.
I mean, yes.
Discount
Guy
double
shops
check.
at Walmart.
I'm sure he's invested well.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to. He sends his own gifts back from his parents.
I mean, as
real?
disgusting as that sounds,
Terrible
you know,
person.
I mean, $40 million to Aaron Rodgers. It's still $40 million.
Yeah.
I mean, Charles Barkley famously said, you know,
Yeah.
you people wanting LeBron to turn down 30, 40, $50 million.
Still
You know what? 40, 50 million,
$50
$50 million.
million.
Why do you think I'm still working?
Out of your damn mind.
Yeah, they think Charles is still upset. Check's nice when it hits.
But, man, that was tough to see.
You think they go find somebody? Do you think they sign somebody?
Jameis is out there, Coach. Cam
Jameis?
Newton.
A lot of talk about Gardner Minshew.
Where's he with? Indy?
Mm-hmm. But you saw Richardson go down in game 1.
Yeah, Richardson style.
That doesn't play.
What are they doing?
Trevor Lawrence told him after the game, bro, you gotta.
Yeah, you need to learn how to slide, coach.
Because Trevor Lawrence is a big dog too.
I think that's what Josh Allen's problem is. He just
doesn't. I've never seen him slide.
That man does not like to slide. He wants to run you over, and that's not a recipe to succeed in the NFL. Even if you are a 6'6", 260.
Oh no, somebody's gonna catch it. Burrow learned real quick. Blindsided. Oh my God!
I mean, Burrow
slides now.
I mean, his offensive linemen are getting crossed over by Myles Garrett.
Did you see that?
Yes. I mean, he's the best defensive end in the league.
He's playing basketball.
I go T.J. Watt.
Well, he's in the discussion.
Yeah,
he's in the.
You can't go wrong.
Yeah,
Myles Garrett is built like a ninja
apples
turtle.
and oranges with those two.
Yeah.
I mean, he came from the middle.
Yeah,
I mean, like you can put him anywhere you want. Why are the Bengals so bad on the offensive line? How are they so bad?
I think it's a mindset
on
thing
the
at this
offensive
point.
line.
They
It's
signed
kinda
another
like
left
this LSU
tackle.
special teams thing. It's almost like no matter who, no matter what, there's just some type of jinx back there.
Yeah, because Orlando Brown is a
He's an
franchise
all-pro.
left tackle.
The Chiefs look bad on the offensive line. You take him off that offensive line, they
struggled.
That was a big reason why they struggled on opening night.
Kadarius Toney from the top rope on the Giants.
He did. He got his reclamation. Tony, you should sign back off of it. Just
stay off social media,
Absolutely.
bro.
You didn't. Yeah, I wouldn't talk if I were you.
I would sign. I would almost like deactivate.
Yeah. Well, he already did the X account.
Yeah,
deactivated,
and then he brought it back.
Oh God!
To talk shit for against the Giants.
It's a drug.
It really
man.
is.
It's a drug.
Jesus.
I got something to say.
It's a drug.
This is my Twitter. This is my X.
I got my 140 characters. I'm about to put them out there. Saw a man go down Saturday. Had to tweet it out when he was getting in the ambulance. 70 years old in the New Balances.
Wait, how'd he go down?
He stumbled right into the chair.
Was it a drunk fall or a heat
I
fall?
think it was a combination of.
Because it wasn't that hot. Was
It wasn't hot,
A little
and he
older.
was. Yeah, he just may have, outpaced himself.
right.
First game of the year, Brent.
I did that.
They gave him a water bottle, and I was like, "That's not gonna." I think we're a little past. Yeah, we're a little past that. Then
Water's just shaking out.
You dump it on his head at this point.
I was like, "He needs an IV."
Give this man, stick this man in the arm.
Stick him right
please.
here. And then the wee woo came up, and I was like, "That's an expensive Uber right there, Coach. Somebody just come get this man." Nope, they brought the mini version too. His feet were
God.
sticking out.
Dad.
Yeah, it's 2:30 in the afternoon.
There he is, right there. He's in the ambulance.
Didn't sniff kickoff. So excited. I'm sure he's fine though. Just need a little hydration.
I did the Saturday morning like early campus bike ride. Well, Jay had a little.
It was kind of desolate out there early.
It was very early, but then you see some of these people who get out there.
Oh my God!
At like, I probably got on. I was probably out there. I dropped little Jay off at 8:30. So I probably got out there about 8:45. I parked at the LSU beach, just threw my bike out the back of the truck, jumped on. I was on campus in 3 minutes. And it was quiet. There wasn't a lot
Eerie.
of people out there. Yeah, it was. I mean, a lot of security, a lot of cops, a lot of, kind of just getting ready. But there is that pack, that crowd that will show up.
No matter what.
At crack of dawn, was maybe there last night.
Pop the tent.
And like as soon as the sun breaks, they are cooking, cracking, not just like beer, like
cracking liquor.
Crown Royal,
like
liquor for us for an evening game. What time that game kick off?
6:30.
And like just the commitment to that lifestyle.
Don't ask me your mind for
every
nothing.
Like
single
nothing.
week. Like I
love
did
them.
it for the Bama game.
Yeah.
And it's still a little intense. Like you can still show up at noon and still get there easily, park, walk, and enjoy everything and not get so wasted where the time, like that like 3 o'clock hits.
I've been out here since Thursday.
Yeah.
like
brother.
we started 2 a.m. Like for what?
No, those people don't you dare shame these people. It's what you need.
No, it's what I love
It's
about
what
it.
makes LSU the culture. If
It's
it
what
wasn't
makes the bike ride
Yeah.
the bike ride.
Exactly.
But it's just, like
it's
Vodka and
commitment.
bourbon.
wow.
Hell yeah.
Smells like vodka, bourbon,
Just-
and cigarettes out
Don't
here.
you put any
That-
orange
that-
juice
that
in my
chair,
vodka drink. Yeah.
like out in the sun.
Just
But they couldn't be
next,
happier.
Next to the cornhole.
Oh yeah,
got Herb Street and just blaring. Just
Corso's trying to find himself.
Dead.
He's at the tailgate.
HD television just blinging.
It's awesome.
It is.
My
commitment to it.
The only time I've seen my brother fall, because he was in this crowd, he was like part of setting up a tailgate at one point in his life for the Appalachian State game that kicked off at 9 a.m. Do you remember that early?
Defending national champs.
Yeah, it was after they
Andrew Hatch debut.
Armani Edwards for Appalachian State came back.
That's right.
And it was like a 9 a.m. Wasn't it? It was earlier than 11.
The hurricane.
Right. And they had the idea to go out there Friday night, stay up all night,
gross,
until kickoff. And about 9:30, he was,
That's not a good idea.
And it was so hot.
Oh man,
he got stuck by the sun, and he was 9:30 in the seats, going, "I think I'm about done."
Luckily, I learned my lesson like
so
that.
You got to be
early on that. I mean, like I think we did like something like that, like maybe like freshman year of high school. You get your license.
Yeah,
your first
I'm
year
out.
Your license. You're like LSU football. We're there. As soon as we get off of school Friday,
going straight.
We're setting the tailgate.
Well, yeah, you
up.
could. Yes, it's an excuse to drink.
Yeah,
you can't
like
get caught.
Friday, like 6 o'clock. You're like,
bro, I don't know if I'm.
That'd be a long time to kick off.
24 hours away.
I don't know if I can make it, boys.
I'm 24
I'm out of
hours
cigarettes. I mean, like
I'm out of everything.
I mean, like everybody's come and gone. What are we gonna do? Like, what are we gonna do?
Oh,
so I mean, like learning that early, I guess, is key in life. I've done that a couple of St. Patrick's days where you think you can like stay up and decorate the float all Friday night and just power through.
Because you do have to get there. The St. Patrick's Day is a different animal. If you've ridden on the float, you got to get out there like 6:30 in the morning, and that's when
it does start early.
We did it for the fraternity, and it was everybody kind of looked around, and you heard the first. We're like, I guess we're starting now because this is about to be an all-day affair, and people were dropping like flies. We had people hop the fence at Fred's to go play golf that didn't have golf clubs. They were just asking strangers to hit a ball at the par 3 right there.
Absolutely.
And it was like, this is mayhem. It was so much fun.
Absolutely.
But the reason to get to campus early, brother, is there were people in traffic that were freaking the fuck out. Like, you could hear horns.
Saturday?
Yeah, like, we got to get to campus now.
See,
I need to get there right now.
They were like, just leave earlier. You could tell it was the either newly married or girlfriend crowd that was like, why aren't we at camp? Why aren't we there yet? Why aren't we there? I was like, brother, calm down.
My friends are already on campus.
Yeah, no, it's I'm waiting for her to get ready, and now we got to go, and now I'm late because I want to be out with the boys. Yeah, that was that kind of big truck traffic.
Are you mad?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Why are you so mad?
Yeah, I mean, you still have 6 hours.
Are you gonna have an attitude the whole time?
And they were just blaring the horn. I was like, oh my, these people are desperate
They're
for
about
LSU.
to fight.
They talk about a drug. Like, I gotta get to campus. I gotta get to campus.
I did take the bike through the parade grounds.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's
The
like
first
that's like a
Greek-
Civil War battle.
The
It
first Greek
Parade ground.
showing of the year. So I can excuse them. You got the freshmen out there.
Oh, they don't have a
This is
chance.
early, they
Yeah,
get shot.
you don't have a
I
chance.
mean, they're in like
Call your loved ones.
laying in like tubs of like they're like laying in tubs of
Ice
like
baths.
ice baths out there.
Because
Music just, I mean, as soon as you cut the corner, it is every rap lyric that is out right now.
It's mayhem.
On top of each other.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And they're, like,
battling
battling.
for sound.
Who's
You know
got
what I
the
mean?
aux cord?
You see-
David,
you
give
see
it back.
that guy-
Yeah.
That guy's just scrambling
He can't
through
be
his
here.
phone.
Who do you know here?
I mean,
Oh, I've been asked that before.
Oh, I'm bad.
it is.
Parade grounds is
I'm
not
sure,
my place.
Stewie.
No, I'm sorry, brother.
But like I am not
boy.
supposed to be around
Yeah,
here.
who you know here?
Like my first experience with the parade grounds, I went to a tailgate because my friends were there, and like I show up. Obviously,
Music cuts off.
I'm the only one that looks like me over here. So I show up and everything stops.
Yeah.
Everybody stops.
Time
and
slows
looks at-
down.
Who do you know here?
Hey,
I know him.
I don't know you.
So I just sent
I'm with her.
Yeah, I sent the girls that I was with to steal alcohol for me.
I gotta get out of here.
Got the alcohol and I got out. Like,
And they're all in the.
but it is Civil
They're
War.
still wearing the pledge uniform. You've got the white.
dude, it
You got the
is.
long white Oxford with the
Button
tie.
So hot.
Can I get a red
Like that
tie?
part in the morning where you're like, I want to go home.
Like this kid is about to croak out here.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not good.
They have to go. Well, this is back in my day. You had to go and like reserve your spot on the parade ground.
Well, it looks as if that's what's
Yeah, you have to go hold down your
that's
your
what they-
spot.
You
Or
gotta
it'll
hold
get
down the
taken.
fort.
That's what this crew was
So
doing.
you have like different stations of when you're
I
supposed
mean,
to
they
be
had
out there.
been there.
Oh yeah.
By the time I showed up at 9,
shift change.
I mean, because they had been there for hours.
Oh yeah.
Right. I mean,
and you better have that thing set up at 9.
Then they send the pledges in the stadium to save their seats.
That is Talk about a war of attrition.
Oh my God.
There's some pictures of some people just laid out that.
Oh, I mean,
they're laying in the stands.
So the
just
best stories
laid
you've ever
across
heard.
the bleachers. I've seen somebody fall down the
Oh yeah,
the
that could
stadium.
be anywhere though.
Easily.
Those
stairs are tricky.
Pretty steep too.
The ramps can be trippy.
Yeah, both of them.
If you go down the ramp, coach, you got a problem.
Well, I mean, going down, you get a good win.
Yeah,
on a good win. I remember me and a couple of crews like sprinting down from the top.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. You catch a little momentum coming down one of those ramps because your feet aren't touching the ground
Feel
as
like you're
firmly
floating.
as they felt like they were at the top.
Here goes my Achilles.
Yo,
all you see is crinkled water bottles all littered everywhere.
Man,
that's not water. He didn't sneak water into the stadium.
Rodgers, I can't imagine me having an Achilles at 40.
Beep.
I'm all right today.
Well, confirmed.
That thing's torn.
That thing's popped. What did he say? It like plucked like a guitar string.
He was in shock. I mean, you could see it. He went right into Shay's eyes, went straight to the sideline.
I mean, look at this thing.
Yeah, you haven't seen this yet.
Oh.
So bad, dude. And they were wondering what happened. Like, oh, I think I just saw what happened.
Yeah, I think that thing's torn.
And you can always kind of tell when the toe goes up and the heel touches, it feels like it kind of pops the other, like when it's not supposed to reach the ground, it reaches the ground. Usually an Achilles. Tough at that age.
Yeah.
It feels like he has unfinished business, though. He never got to get started.
Like, share, comment.
No pizza party. We didn't get to 200.
Sorry, guys.
18 shy. All right, have
Jacob
a great day
Hester.
out there. We will be with you tomorrow morning. Wednesdays, we got Jacques coming through here. And we will be back with you. Compliments of our friends over at RMB Builders. Have a great Tuesday.
Hey, Chino. Put my headphones up, bro. Right there. Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification. We about to go live. We got all your favorite guests. We got them in line. It's the Jordy Culotta Show. Come have a good time. It's the hottest show around. We ain't got to flex. Call up G, we get it done. We earning our respect. Tell recruits to let us in. Where they going next? Throw up the L's. Now we lit. Band playing neck. From the boot to the east to the west coast. No matter where we at, we live. Mic'd up for show. Open up the phone lines. Come and join the show. Make sure you tell your friends about Jordy Culotta Show. Yeah, Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. Yeah, you see the notification. We about to go live. We got all your favorite guests. We got them in line.